Smita and teacher Poonam from St. Mary's High School, Mazgaon, who will be performing various activities on indicators, namely natural indicators. I hope you will enjoy the interactive session which they have prepared. We also have with us Ms. Neha from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. She is doing her final year MSc in Applied Medical Sciences from the Department of Life Science. She will be conducting a session on paper chromatography. So without further ado, let's start the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm teacher Smita. So today's activity is based on natural indicators. Before moving ahead, I just want to tell you a story about scientist Robert Boyle. Boys, do you all know a scientist Robert Boyle? He was famous for what?
Gas logs.
Gas logs.
Yes, logs.
Correct. So just a small story I want to tell you. One day what happened, he was in a science lab and one of his favorite students, he gifted him lovely violet bouquet and he said to his assistant, keep it safely. And his assistant, even he was working in the same lab, but little bit far. So he was doing some experiment, his assistant, with a diluted hydrochloric acid. Accidentally, what happened? The acid splashed on those flowers and the flowers turned into purple from red. And he got scared because something is happened now. I have to wash those flowers. Then Mr. Boyle, he said, stop, don't do anything. I just want to check what was happening. And he had gone to that place where the hydrochloric acid was splashed. So then he realized because of that acid, the color turned from purple to red. Then he started thinking that suppose I am going to splash alkali on the flowers, then what will happen? So, and he applied some alkalis on those flowers. And now this time, the flowers turn into reddish, green color. The flowers turn into green color. Okay. So, Boyle, he started experimenting with the different plants, and he observed that some of them change colors when they expose into acid and in alkali. And these plants he called a natural indicators. So today we are going to see natural indicators, how to make natural indicators at home, and how to check the substances are basic or substances are acidic. So Master Mohsin Khan, over to you.
Indicators. The substances which are neither acidic nor basic and are chemically inert in nature. Touching or tasting of acid or base is very harmful, and hence typical indicators are used to recognize them. The substances which change their colors in presence of acid or base are called indicators.
So students, as you have got a brief insight into indicators, a quick introduction onto the same matter ahead from here. Now, as Mohsin told you, by touching or tasting, we can't check whether the substance is acidic or basic. It is really very dangerous. You know, acids are corrosive, cannot, try and touch and feel it. Nor with the bases, because it is slippery to touch and you don't know, how safe it is. So we need to have a very safe method to check whether a substance is acidic, basic or neutral. And in today's session, we are going to take help of natural indicators which we can prepare with various ease at home, okay, and check for the products. Now, what is there in acids which is responsible for making it acidic in nature? Anybody?
H plus ions.
Yes, the hydrogen ion, the concentration of hydrogen ions. And for the base, what do you think? What is the hidden feature there? Huh?
OH minus.
So what are they called as?
Hydroxide ions.
The hydroxide ions. Very good. So these two concentrations are very, very important deciding factors, whether the substance is acidic or basic. So when the concentration of hydrogen ion is the most, it is said to be acidic. Yes, whereas when you have the concentration of the hydroxyl ions more, then it is said to be basic. But when they are equal in amount, what would you say? What could it be?
Neutral.
Neutral. Excellent. So when the concentration of both are at equilibrium, both are the same, it is said to be neutral. Now we can't go and check na the number of H plus ions, OH minus ions, ये कितना है उधर. So for that we require what is an indicator paper, some kind of testing with some color or some change that will help us to know. Yes, and therefore, as you see, we have a scale on which its acid levels and basic levels can be measured. It is a range from 0 to 14 and it's said to be a pH scale. Okay, that is the potential of the concentration of the hydrogen ion. As the concentration of the hydrogen ion increases, you will see that its acidity level will keep on rising. So this scale which is there from 0 to 14, you will see that below 7, from 0 to 7, that is below 7, it is said to be acidic. Whereas above 7, okay, to 14, it is said to be a range for the basic or the alkaline substances. Now you must be wondering, what are these all colors here? They look like something like paint shade cards that we actually use at times, to select colors. What kind of paint should we, use at home? But these varieties of color shades that you see are going to help us in indicating whether at what range does it match, and then from there we can easily identify whether the substance is acidic or basic. If both are acidic, how one is more acidic than the other or how less acidic it is. So these colors which are there are wonderful bright colors which will change in presence of these natural indicators indicating what we are wanting to find. So now we have Master Siddesh and Mohsin who will let you know about these natural indicators.
What is the name of the natural indicator found in red cabbage?
Anthocyanin.
That's right. Red cabbage contains a water-soluble pigment called anthocyanin, which changes its color when mixed with acid or base. Very acidic solutions will turn it red. Neutral solutions will make it purplish, and basic solutions will turn it in greenish yellow.
Is red cabbage natural?
Yes, it is natural.
In acidic soils, the leaves grow more reddish. In neutral soils, they will grow more purple, and alkaline soil will produce greenish yellow colored cabbages. Now let's have a look at how to make the red cabbage extract from cabbage.
Make a natural dye. So here I'm using red cabbage. This is a red cabbage. It's actually purple, but we call it red cabbage. Now you have to take red cabbage and cut it into a small chunks. So it will be very easy for us to make a dye. just cut it into, you can chop it, you can grind it, the way you want to cut the red cabbage, you can do that accordingly. The next step is we have to add a boiling water. Okay, we have to add boiling water in a beaker with a cabbage. So I'm just using a half cabbage today. The boiling water is already ready. See, this way you just make into small chunks. That's it. Okay, here I have taken a bowl and put it in this. Okay, here I am adding a boiling water. This is very easy and very safe method to get a cabbage, red cabbage extract. We have to wait for around 15 to 20 minutes. Now, red cabbage contains a natural dye. Once the cabbage releases its dye, it should be filtered, and whenever you want to use this solution, dilute it in a water and then you can use it. We have to wait for 15 to 20 minutes. As you can see, the cabbage is releasing its color. See. Okay, so we have to wait for around 15 to 20 minutes and then the cabbage, red cabbage extract is ready. Make a natural dye. So here,
So I hope students, you had a good thorough insight into how this extract is prepared from the cabbage. And I'm sure that you will try hands on it. So let's go ahead. Can you identify the picture on the screen?
Yes, miss.
Turmeric.
The first one is ginger and the second one is turmeric.
The first one is also turmeric, if you see. Okay, it is
Yes.
called as raw haldi. Okay, the raw turmeric. So you get this nowadays in winter and it is very, very good. So a lot of people make the raw turmeric pickle and they love
Yes,
to eat
ma'am.
in winters and it is really very good. So when these, they also grow like ginger only under the ground. So when this raw ginger is dried, okay, after drying up, if you can see in this picture on the side, okay, it is crushed into this beautiful yellow powder, which is used as turmeric powder in our kitchens as spices on daily basis. So we have Master Siddesh, who will now give you an insight into how turmeric acts as a natural indicator.
Turmeric is a natural acid-base indicator. Turmeric is yellow in color. When a base is added to it, the solution turns into red color. However, turmeric remains yellow when an acid or neutral solution is added to it. The active ingredient in turmeric, curcumin, is a pH indicator. When you put turmeric in foods that have a pH value below 7.4, the turmeric will turn yellow. In foods with a pH above 8.6, it turns red.
Boys, we are using this ingredient day in and day out. So next time when mommy is cooking something in the kitchen, please do have a sneak and check. Okay, you will also come to know on the change of color, certain insights you will get. Okay, and it will be wonderful for you. So now next we have is a video on how we can prepare turmeric paper at home. I've done is I've taken turmeric and I've taken little water, okay, and I've created into a a thick paste, okay, and with the help of this brush I'm going to cover this filter paper from all the sides. And then once this is done, you can keep it for drying. It'll dry off soon, doesn't take much time. And then you can scrape off a little excess, okay, once it is dried completely. So we'll allow it to dry, and we can create papers like this for turmeric paper, and then we can cut into strips. And so these papers can be prepared easily at home. So I have a few which we dried, and our students have also prepared it, and then we're going to use them today in our later small session of demonstration 2. I've done is I've taken turmeric and I've taken little. So the next slide for you all. Can you identify what is shown in the picture?
Lichen.
Lichen.
Where do you find them the most? Do you find them everywhere?
Mom, on moist trees.
Okay. Anybody, any other responses?
Ma'am, in less pollution areas.
Okay, good. So you will see these kind of lichen, okay, and they're of different colors. You will see nicely, and they're very different types. Okay, it's a beautiful observation if you can make, if you have a chance to go for trekking or maybe into some woodlands. Okay, you should look out for them. These two are going to be used, okay, for preparing a natural indicator paper. So we have Master Mohsin, who's going to let us know about how it can be used.
A lichen is not a single organism, but a symbiosis among different organisms like fungi and a cyanobacterium or algae. Litmus is an oldest form of indicators made from different dyes extracted from lichens. Litmus paper is made by absorbing litmus solution onto filter paper. Blue litmus paper turns red in acids. Red litmus paper turns blue in bases. And there is no color change for neutral substances.
So you can see these beautiful indicator papers. They are prepared from the extract, okay, the dye that is extracted from lichens. Now see, these are rare. We don't find them everywhere. So if you get a chance and if you want to make it at home, it is a very simple method and a quick method. You can take scrape out the lichens. Be very careful that while doing this, you handle it with care. After collecting it, you can allow it to dry a little, crush it and put it in a beaker. Pour hot boiling water over it and then stir it for a few minutes and let it stand for 20 to 30 minutes. After some time, you will see that the lichen has extracted the dye, and you will see that light bluish lilac color, which you can then pour over a filter paper and cut it, allow it to dry, and then your litmus papers are ready. And there is one more industrial method of preparing it at large scale. You can definitely refer. There are beautiful videos. I too surfed and I checked on the net, and it was very amazing to see them. But they were too long. So I would say that if you can please go over and watch it. They use, at small scale, they are using around 125 ml of water and 125 ml of household ammonia. And they pour that into the jar where lichens are crushed and put, and it is sealed and swirled vigorously and kept it for at least 3 months. In between intervals, every day you need to just open the lid, okay, for aeration, and it is kept for 3 good months to get that dark burgundy color. Okay, so if you really want a beautiful, nice burgundy color, you will have to wait more. Okay, and this is one of the ways industrially that it is also used for extracting dyes. But at home, if you want to try out, with hot boiling water. You may try. You will get a little faint dye, okay, a light color, but I guess that would be enough for your household testing if you wish to. Now, can you identify these beautiful flowers?
Hibiscus.
The first one.
Periwinkle.
Oh, periwinkle. And what do you also call in your, Hindi, Marathi में क्या बोलते हैं इसको?
Sadafuli.
Sadabahar, Sadafuli. Always, these are blooming. And the next one?
Hibiscus.
Yes,
The
the
show flower.
hibiscus. Yes, we always offer to Lord Ganesha. So now you must be wondering how these flowers now you are using. Yes, we too can use them. And what I had done, I would just show, is that I took a filter paper and I had a few flowers. I couldn't manage more, okay, as they grow, but then it takes a little while. So wherever I could find, you just take them, okay, and you rub them over the filter paper. And once you rub them, you will see that it gives away this light bluish color tinge, okay. So if you manage more, you can do that. And then once it is done, you can also cut into strips and you can use as natural indicator paper. Another is with your hibiscus. You can take the petals in the beaker. We did that in the morning. We took some petals, we put them in the beaker and we poured little boiling water onto it. We allowed it to stand. And now if you can see, the petals which are there have become a little colorless. They have left out, and that whole extract, which is that the pigment has got released into the water. So then we can filter and we can too use this. Okay. And you will say, Miss, then how will we see the color change? Definitely we'll show in a little while that what different kinds of indicating colors will help us to check whether the substance is acidic, basic or neutral. So now we have Master Aryan Vaiti, who will give you a quick look into what are the different other availabilities of natural indicators.
Natural indicator is a type of indicator that can be found naturally and can determine whether the substance is an acidic or basic substance. Some examples of natural indicators are red cabbage, turmeric, grape juice, turnip skin, curry powder, cherries, beetroots, onion, tomato, etc.
So if you go to see, it also has this colorful pH scale. From this, we can definitely identify the range. And as we know that 7 is said to be neutral and anything below 7 is going to be acidic and above 7 it's going to be alkaline or basic in nature. So these shades which are there will definitely help you to find out and get a glimpse of the product. So these are a few more natural indicators, and definitely each one of can try and let's have hands-on practice if we can check with them. So now we move on to our demonstration session. Over to you, Teacher Smita.
Yeah, I'm ready, teacher.
Is the screen visible properly?
Yeah. I joined. Yes.
Okay. So you must be seeing all those colorful strips that are there. What we have done is we have selected a few sets of samples in the test tubes that are lime juice, vinegar that you use, Coke that you all love to drink, sugar solution, salt solution, sodium bicarbonate that mommy uses at home, baking soda, and toothpaste. So we're going to check what change will occur on these indicator papers as well as with the red cabbage extract when we pour or we drop the substance over it. So are you all ready for it, boys? So you have to have a very close look at it, okay? And you will help us to identify. Everybody ready? Yes, teacher Smita, let's go ahead with. First,
Yes.
we'll begin with the lemon juice.
So the turmeric paper is already ready, boys. Here I am just putting 1 drop of lemon juice on turmeric paper.
So,
Is there any change?
No change.
There is no change on turmeric paper. Okay. Now this is a blue litmus paper. See the change, if there is.
Yes, miss, red.
blue turning red. What does it indicate to you? Blue turning red.
Acidic.
Okay.
Acid.
Now
Yes.
I'm trying it on red litmus paper. Please check. Is there any change?
No change.
No change.
Okay. This is pH paper. Check.
The pH paper will give us the exact, almost a nearby range from where it will match. So teacher Smita is going to use the shade card there again, and we'll able to find out exactly what range is the pH scale falling into.
2 to 3. Isn't it?
Yes, Smita?
Yes. Can I take it little up, teacher?
Yeah,
See
yeah.
the
we
scale?
can see. 2 to 3. Looks like 2 to 3.
Correct, correct. It's 2 to 3.
Yeah.
So then boys, what do we think? What do you say? Lemon juice. What is it?
Ma'am, it's an
Acid.
acid.
It is
Acid.
acid.
Acidic.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one.
Vinegar. Right, teacher?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Acetic acid, vinegar. Any change?
No change.
No
No
change.
change.
No change in color. Red, blue litmus paper.
Red, red.
Yes,
Turning into red.
Red litmus paper? No
It's
change.
No change.
No change.
Now pH paper.
Orange.
Orange.
Yes, it's orange.
Okay. Let's check with the pH scale. Is the same.
3.
Yes. Between 2 to 3. Okay. Here, boys, the lemon juice, you all know that it's an acid. Now I'm putting, this is red cabbage extract is ready already. It's a fresh one.
You
So
can
I'm
see
adding
the
few
beautiful
drops.
color. You can
Yeah.
see the teacher. Can you show them that color of the extract?
Yes, yes. It's really beautiful color. We got it here, boys. Okay. Dark purple. Now what I'm doing, I'm just adding, this is a lemon juice, we got it. Now I'm adding few drops in lemon juice. Can you see the change in color?
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
ma'am, it became red.
Okay. Here I have used a natural indicator. Red
Beautiful
cabbage
red.
extract is, yeah, it is turning 1 minute. Let me shake proper. Okay. See the scale. Okay.
I
Same
don't
thing we
think
can.
we'll be able to scale, but definitely it is acidic. Okay.
Same thing we are doing it with vinegar. I'm adding few drops of red cabbage extract and see the change. It's changed. The color is changed.
Color
Excuse me,
is-
ma'am. I have a
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
Ma'am, vinegar generally only consists almost 5% of acetic acid and the
That
rest 95% is water.
Yeah.
So the pH scale should be a little bit lower than 7, but it's 3 to 4.
No, boy, beta, I've got an answer here for you. She's comparing it with a natural indicator. I think that's where she is, you got confused with. In a pH, if you would put it on a pH paper, vinegar would give you a reading between 3 to 3.5 that way. Now, teacher is showing you the color red. So you don't have to look at, she's shown you with red cabbage extract. So with red cabbage extract, acidic substances will show one color. The basic substances will show another color. So she's shown you with what you call as red cabbage extract. So the color turned red. Now, when she is going to add a base, the color is going to be something different. And that is exactly what Robert Boyle observed. And they also say that he saw the dyers doing this and he got different colors. Is that clear? So this led him to think about indicators. So teacher Smita, when we do with methyl orange, kindly do not check with the pH paper.
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you.
The next is Coke, your favorite drink, boys.
Wow.
Okay. So let's try with the Coke.
Ma'am, camera on you. Only the paper I can see, can't see you working.
Okay.
Meeta, ma'am.
Yes.
Neta, miss, if you can put your other system's video on as well.
Okay.
Only the paper on the table you have kept, no, those made papers. That is visible. Your working and your dropper and your other things are not visible. Is it right,
Sorry,
Suparna?
ma'am.
Yeah, we can't see you working. Only the filter, that paper you have no cuttings made, you have put on the table. No, that paper is seen to me.
Miss, what we have done is we have for the ease of focusing on the color change, we have kind of done a little bit of a Indian jugaad sort of stuff. We have
So can I show
spotlighted
that jugaad, ma'am, so you can get an
I
idea?
Yes.
know, but I
the
can-
other system. If you can just show her, just a minute.
Yes, yes.
This is fine. Okay. ठीक है, they can get it. It is nice.
Everything is arranged here, the red cabbage, extract,
Yeah.
Coca-Cola, water,
Okay.
and
Okay.
okay.
You can, your working can be seen. That will be nice.
Okay, so now next is what, teacher Poonam?
Yes. The next we have the Coke.
Oh. Okay. Okay, time to observe. Is there any change in color on turmeric paper?
No change.
Okay, now I am putting this drop of Coke on blue litmus paper.
Red.
Red is red. Change red.
Okay, next. Is there any change in red litmus paper? Yes, boys?
No change. No change.
No change.
No
No
change,
change.
teacher.
Okay. Can we go to the next substance, teacher?
Yes.
Yes. Now the next is salt solution. Turmeric paper? Any change?
No change.
No change.
No change.
No change.
No change.
No change.
No change. No change in anything. So salt solution is what? It's an acidic, basic, base, or neutral.
Neutral.
Okay.
Teacher with the red
Even if
cabbage.
you're adding, yes, even if you're adding, the color won't be changed. In salt solution, if you're adding only you will get a diluted water. The color will be the same of red cabbage extract. Okay, there is no change. The color is not changed actually.
So the color in for red cabbage extract with salt is pink or purple, and when it is with acidic substances, it
It's
is red.
Red.
Okay. Teacher, put a drop on that pH paper. Put a drop on the pH paper and wait for some time, and let's see what color it gives to the pH paper.
Yes, yes, teacher.
I think you contaminated it, I think. We'll have to wait for some
Maybe
time.
yes, teacher. I use the same a dropper. That's why it
Yeah.
is happening.
That's the reason why. Okay. Okay, let's go to the other one. It should have turned green. Let's go to
Yes.
the other one.
Sugar solution.
Can you just clean that dropper? Can you clean the dropper in water?
Yes, yes, I did it, teacher.
Yeah.
Okay, the next is sugar solution. Any change in color on
No
turmeric paper?
No change.
Let's try it on. Any change on blue litmus paper?
No
No
change.
change.
Here on red litmus paper?
No change.
No change.
On pH paper?
Let's wait for some time and come back to it. Move with the other salt and we might see it turning a little green. So let's go to the other salt and come back. I can already see greenish, yellowish there in the center. Can you see that, children?
Yes.
Yes. So with neutral salts, pH paper gives you a greenish color.
Okay, so the next. Uh-huh. Sugar. Okay, I'm adding few drops of red cabbage extract in sugar solution. Is there any change in color?
Purple. Purple.
No change. It got dissolved.
Okay. Let's move to the next substance. That is toothpaste. Toothpaste is added already in a water. Okay, so let's try on turmeric paper.
Is there a color change? Kids?
No
No.
change.
Yes,
No
yes.
change.
See, it's happening
Color will be
slowly.
changed. Boys, 1 minute. The color will be
Slightly red,
changed.
slightly red.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
there's a spot in the center.
On blue litmus paper. Then on red litmus paper.
No change.
and then on pH paper. Observe pH paper.
But tell me, kids, what's the color on the pH paper, please?
Ma'am, greenish, like near to 8 and
A
9.
little beyond green. It's not green. A little beyond green. Look, is it
Ma'am, near to 8.
8.
blue?
8.
8. Okay. So what is it? Basic, acidic, or what?
Basic.
Basic. So why is the toothpaste basic? Why do we have basic substances in toothpaste? Anyone?
Ma'am, to kill the acidic substances in our mouth and neutralize them.
Neutralize the acid. So who release the acid in your mouth?
Ma'am, the germs.
Huh?
Ma'am, the germs.
The microorganisms that
Yes.
are decomposing the food. Yeah, okay, good. We move on, teacher.
Okay, now I'm adding red cabbage extract in toothpaste, and let's see the color is changed or not.
Think the color will be what Robert Boyle saw. Anyone? What do you think the color was? Can you see the color? Don't compare it with pH paper, teacher.
Okay.
Okay. It's, how is it?
It is little bluish color, teacher.
Yeah. But then if you see it, so you can see one blue color he's got over here. You try with the next one. What is the next one that you're going to have is you have got
Sodium
bicarbonate. So you have
bicarbonate.
another color.
Yes.
Okay. So let's see what is the color there for sodium bicarbonate. Color change.
Red. No change.
Turns
On
blue.
paper.
Blue.
Blue.
Change.
And teacher put it on the pH paper. Okay. Now look at the color. What is it?
Blue.
Dark blue.
Dark blue.
Yeah, very violet. Very, very dark shade. So what is it? Basic in?
Nature.
So now
Normally.
you add this to your red cabbage extract. See, let's get another color. Teacher, please add it to the red cabbage extract. And let's see the dyers who knew chemistry so well. Can you see that color? Actually, the color is a nice green color. Can you see green? Yes, can you see that?
Yes.
Beautiful green. Huh.
Beautiful green. So you can see, you can get light green, you can get green, you can get red, you can get lighter red, and you also got a purple color. All this by using red cabbage extract. And Robert Boyle definitely learned a lot by just observations. Okay. Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teachers.
Over, the program is over. Some question answers.
Ma'am, why didn't the turmeric paper turn red in the case of toothpaste?
Yeah. Neha, please share screen for your paper chromatography. We're waiting for you.
Yes, ma'am. Is my screen visible? Yes. So should I start? Yes, Neha. Yeah. So, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to be talking to you about what is chalk chromatography today. But before I start on chromatography and chalk chromatography, I would like to ask you a question. Suppose I'm giving you a mixture of, say, sand and stones. Will you be able to separate it easily? Anybody?
Yeah. Yes.
Ma'am,
Okay.
yes.
What about if you have a mixture of salt and sugar? Will you be able to separate the components?
If it's a crystal sugar, then too it will be.
Yeah, you can, right? Okay, what if I mix, suppose, red color and blue color while painting to form a purple color? Can I separate red and blue from it?
No.
Okay. So what if I want to actually separate it? What should I do? For that, there is a technique which is known as chromatography. So what is chromatography? It is a technique used to separate the components of a mixture which you cannot separate by your own self. Now, how can we separate it? On what basis? So what is the principle behind it? So majorly there are different principles, but we'll be talking only about two of them. One is the relative size of molecules. Now, let me give you an example. Suppose there is a narrow door and there is one thin person and one fat person. Who will move through that door first?
The thin one.
Yeah. So similarly over here in chromatography, the smaller size molecules will be able to get separated first as compared to the larger size molecules. Okay. Similarly with charges on ions. So you have suppose one positively charged ion, one negatively charged ion. You can separate these charges on the basis of chromatography. So you have positive charges getting separated first or maybe later and then the negative charges. So this is what basics about chromatography. We are going to be focusing today on what is chalk chromatography. So what is it? It is again a separation technique to separate the components of dyes, inks, food coloring. So just like when you look at a particular ink, a particular food color, it is not consisting only of that color, like red color, food color, red color of ink will not only consist of red color, it might consist of something else which is mixed in it, but we cannot observe it. So to observe that, we use the technique of chromatography, where we are using a chalk chromatography, as it is a very, very easy technique. And how can we separate these different pigments? We can separate it on the basis of their sizes and on the basis of the solubility in a solvent. So when you want to separate it, you need to add a particular solvent to it, like an alcohol. So whatever components of that ink, of that, suppose I've taken purple color, maybe it is possible that the red color in that is soluble in alcohol as compared to blue color. Hence, when we do chalk chromatography, we'll only be able to observe red color and not the blue color. So I will show you the experiment right now so that it is much clearer to you what exactly happens. So I'll just stop sharing my screen for now and I'll show you my experiment. So for the experiment, I have this color indicator. This is known as the universal indicator. Why is it known as universal indicator? Because it consists of different other indicators, like you just saw, right? You have turmeric indicator, which is in the form of a paper. We also have liquid indicators, which can be mixed as a universal indicator. And what is the color of it? What color can you observe? Anybody?
Red.
Yeah, but what do you think it must be consisting in it? Any idea?
Red and
Okay, let's find out what we do it. So for now, we have this indicator. And what are we doing? Chalk chromatography. So we'll be using chalk. Okay, so this very simple experiment, I'm just going to dip this chalk in this indicator. And we'll wait for the solvent to move upwards. Okay, so I'm not moving it very much because it's just, I've made another chalk to show you. But if you can see, I'll show you the one which I've already prepared. So here, can you see different colors in this? What colors can you observe?
red and yellow, and then light yellow and then white and
Okay, okay. So now this color in this indicator basically consisted of 4 color pigments. There was red, orange, yellow, and green. So I'll show you in one of my pictures which I have taken. So let me continue with my presentation now.
Yeah. So we did our experiment. And first we'll move on to the principle, then I'll show you the picture, okay? So what happens is in chromatography, you have two components, two phases. One is the fluid phase. This is known as the mobile phase. Fluid is known as the mobile phase. And one is a fixed material, which is your chalk. So what happens is that in this fluid, which we have is the universal indicator, it consists of different indicators present in it, of different colors and alcohol. We need something which needs to be soluble in it for solubility. So all these different colors which are present in this indicator will be separated on basis of different rates as it is traveling upwards in the chalk. And how is it traveling upwards in the chalk? By the help of capillary action, right? So you have two phases, mobile phase, which is your indicator over here consisting of alcohol and different other small individual indicators which have been mixed in this. And you have stationary phase, which is chalk. And with the help of capillary action, it is moving upwards. So I'll just show you what exactly happened. This is the chalk after separation of colors. So here there is red, orange, a thin layer of yellow, and then a green layer is observed. So what happens is in the solution, we have different sized molecules of pigments, right? You can see red are larger, orange, yellow, and green. And this is the chalk. So your chalk consists of pore-like structures over here, right? And their molecules, these molecules will only be able to enter and flow depending upon the sizes of the pores, that is through capillary action. So what do you think, based on their sizes, which of the molecules will move further up and which will not be able to move very fast?
Ma'am, the big one will not be able to.
Oh yeah, what is the color of the big one?
The red.
Red.
Yeah, and which one will move further upwards?
Yellow.
Yellow and
green.
Right. So as you can see in this picture that way. So you have red, then orange, yellow, and green, which is moving upwards. So this is how through chalk chromatography, you can separate the different pigments present in a normal dye, ink, or any food color, right? So you need to remember, you need to have a medium of solubility, which is alcohol, right? So red, maybe it is possible that, in alcohol, the red color pigment was not very soluble. So that's why it was not being able to rise up as much as compared to the green ones, right? It could be. So you need to remember that it depends upon the relative depend on the molecular sizes of these particles, of these pigments, and also on the basis of solubility in any solvent such as, maybe example, alcohol. So this was about chalk chromatography. Now, for example, let me give you a situation. What if I have 15, 16 dyes and I have only 3 or 4 chalks? Will I be able to do it, this experiment? Any idea?
I don't think so, ma'am.
Yeah, it is not possible, right? How will I do 15, 16 pigments with only 3 or 4 chalks? It is not feasible in the laboratory. So for that, we don't use chalk chromatography. What we use is paper chromatography. So what is the difference? The thing is that only instead of chalk, we are taking paper over here. So we have a paper chromatography paper, and on the paper, 2 centimeters from the edge of it, we draw a line with the help of a ruler and pencil. And then we'll put all these pigments, whichever we want to. So like you can see in one paper, we can spot at least 5 pigments over here. Now these pigments, after putting them, you put them as a drop on this line over here. And then you place them in any solvent, like it should be something related to alcohol, right? So that kind of solvent you add it. And then you wait for some time when the alcohol to see till the alcohol starts rising upwards. So as you can see over here in this right color diagram, alcohol is moving upwards, and as it is moving upwards, the pigments which we had loaded over here on this line, they are also moving upwards depending upon their relative molecular sizes and depending upon the solubility in alcohol or in the solvent, and it is getting separated into different pigments. So you can see the green one which was loaded actually consisted of blue and yellow. Similarly, for the blue, the red one, there were different colors which were mixed in it, right? This is what is paper chromatography, which we do it in the laboratories. Now, We can also do paper chromatography using plants. This was the first thing which they actually tried when they did paper chromatography. So they took leaves of, maybe example, spinach leaves. Now what are spinach leaves? They're green in color, right? But what do you think? What other pigments might be present? What is the reason for the green color? Let us start with that. Why the leaves are green in color?
Blue plus yellow gives green, so maybe.
Okay, is there any component in the plants which will give it green color? Do you know of it?
Chlorophyll.
Yeah, right. Very good. So we are going to see this experiment to see what all different colors will be present in those leaves. Okay.
Ma'am, we can't hear anything.
Sound
Sorry?
is there.
There is no sound. Okay, I'll start sharing again.
Yeah.
Now can you hear?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, now we can hear.
Paper chromatography. Chromatography is a technique used to separate molecules on the basis of differences in size, shape, mass, charge, solubility, and absorption properties. In paper chromatography, the mixture is spotted on the paper, dried, and the solvent is allowed to flow along the sheet by capillary attraction. As the solvent slowly moves through the paper, the different compounds of the mixture separate into different colored spots. The paper is dried and the position of the different compounds is visualized. Different plant segments can be separated by using the technique of paper chromatography. Materials required: fresh spinach leaves, filter paper strips, chromatography chamber, mortar and pestle, ether acetone solvent, measuring cylinder containing 5 ml acetone, capillary tube, thread, stapler, scissors, spatula, watch glass, scale and a pencil. Procedure: take a few freshly plucked green spinach leaves. Using scissors, cut the spinach leaves into small pieces and let them fall into the mortar. Take a measuring cylinder that contains 5 ml of acetone and pour it into the mortar. Grind the spinach leaves using the mortar and pestle. Place the extract into a watch glass using a spatula. Take a strip of filter paper having a narrow notch at one end of the strip. Take a pencil and a scale and draw a horizontal line with the pencil about 2 to 3 centimeters away from the tip of the notch. Put a drop of the pigment extract in the middle of the line with the help of a capillary tube. Allow the drop to dry and repeat till 4 or 5 drops are placed on the paper. Take the chromatographic chamber and pour ether acetone solvent into it. Fold one end of the filter paper strip and staple it. Using a thread, hang the filter paper strip into the chromatographic chamber. The loading spot should remain about 1 centimeter above the solvent level. Leave the chromatographic chamber undisturbed for some time. We can observe as the solvent moves through the paper, it spreads the different pigments of the mixture in various distances. When the solvent rises above 3/4 of the way up the strip, remove the strip carefully and let it dry. Observations. The dried chromatographic paper strip shows 4 distinct pigment bands. Different pigments can be identified by their colors. Calculations. RF value of each pigment spot can be calculated by the equation RF is equal to distance travelled by the compound divided by distance travelled by the solvent. Measure the distance of each pigment band from the loading spot and also the distance travelled by the solvent. Calculate the RF value using the equation and record the values into a table. Result. The topmost orange-yellow band of pigments in the separation corresponds to carotene. The yellowish band appearing below it indicates the xanthophylls. The third from the above dark green band represents chlorophyll A. The lowermost yellowish green band is that of chlorophyll B. Precautions. Spinach leaves should be fresh and green. The loading spot should be 2 to 3 centimeters away from the tip of the notch. While hanging the strips in the chromatography chamber, the loading spot should remain about 1 centimeter above the solvent level.
Okay, so this was how they do paper chromatography using plants. RF values will tell you what component it is. Like you saw, right? There's different shades of green, yellow. How do they know what is carotene, what is xanthophyll, which one is chlorophyll A and B? So with the RF values, they will check it with the literature, with what is already mentioned, the standards. And they will check it along with it if it is matching or not. And accordingly, they will conclude what is the component present. So for that, RF values are necessary. So RF value is calculated with the distance traveled by the solute to the distance traveled by the solvent, which is your ether acetone solvent in this case. So this was about paper chromatography using plants. Now, I'll be talking about what are the applications. Why do chromatography? What is the use in today's world? So first of all, it is used to check the purity of pharmaceuticals. So in your pharmaceuticals, they produce lots of medicines, right? For example, crocin. Everyone takes crocin if they have fever. So in crocin, there is a component which is called as paracetamol. Now, how do you know if in that crocin paracetamol is only there, if nothing else is mixed with it? You need to know, right? You need to make sure that whatever the patient is taking, they are taking the correct thing. So for that, you can check it out with chromatography. So with chromatography, you can make sure that the drug consists of paracetamol only and nothing else mixed with it. Second, coming to inspection of cosmetics. Now, cosmetics, everyone is using, everyone's houses have, they have cosmetics with them. And cosmetics is like, it is, you are applying it on your skin. So it is extremely necessary to check that in cosmetics, you have very, very pure compounds. You cannot have anything, contamination in that, because the skin will get affected because of that. And then, it is a very blooming industry right now, cosmetic market. So for that, to check whether the cosmetics consist of the, pure compounds, if there's any, degraded material present in that, you need to check it. So for that, you can use chromatography. Also to check the adulteration and contaminants in different food and drinks. So you must have seen to check adulteration, honey, if there's anything else mixed, you can do certain experiments. What to do in laboratories? So in laboratories, you can use chromatography as one method to check if there is anything else which is mixed in your food and drinks, if it is completely pure or not. And also lastly, it is used to examine the reaction mixtures in biochemical laboratories. So in laboratories, we have lots of chemicals, right? And we need to see if the chemicals consist of what is mentioned on them. I will give you one example. So what exactly happens is, in our laboratories, we do this experiment where we take the chromatography paper. Okay, we draw from 2 centimeters from the edge of the paper, we draw a line with the help of ruler and pencil, and we are told, okay, these are your 3 standards. And what are the 3 standards? One of them, let's take glucose, right? One is glucose, which is present in all foods. Then we have fructose, which is the sugar present in your fruit juices. And then we have galactose, which is present in milk. And we know that these are very, very pure. Now, for example, I get a bottle from somewhere, I buy a bottle, which I label it as X. I don't know what it's containing. Suppose I buy a bottle of glucose. I want to see whether it contains glucose only or whether it contains something else mixed with it. So for that, I will do a chromatography experiment. So this is, I will make a line. I will spot my reagents over here on this line, and then I will place them in my solvent, which can be alcohol solution or any other solution. Then after this, the solvent will rise onto the paper. When it reaches about 3/4 length, we will stop the reaction. We will remove the paper from the solvent. We don't want the solvent to move up, 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 along with it, all these reagents also moving up, and then you will not get very clear results. So when it's 3/4 of the paper, we will remove it. After removing, we will dry the paper, and these solutions are colorless. You cannot observe them, where they must be in the paper. So for that, we need to add another reagent, which will give colors to the pigments, whatever colors to these solutions present on this paper. And again, we will dry it. So then maybe, for example, I get a spot of glucose over here, I get fructose over here, and I get galactose over here after drying. And after putting the reagent and after drying, I get these spots. That means they have risen up so much. And my X compound, maybe I get a big spot like this. What does this mean? Anybody?
That it contains glucose and that
galactose.
Yeah.
Very good. So that means, is my compound X pure? No, right? It is not pure. I had taken X as it must be a glucose bottle, but it is not glucose. It contains galactose also in that. So that means I can check my reaction mixtures in the laboratories, whether whatever I'm using is the correct solution or not. This is how you can use chromatography for this. So yeah, that was all for it. Thank you so much for listening. And are there any questions? I might address them.